There are 10 magical phrases that any wife can say to her husband to make him feel on top of the world. And today, we'll cover all 10 of them. Hey, Strength of Seduction family. This is Daniel, and if you're listening to this episode, there's a good chance that you're already a Strength of Seduction customer. The reality is, most people purchased our Strength of Seduction workouts back during the pandemic because they were really fun to do in the house, and they looked exciting, and you wanted to build intimacy with your partner. You wanted to build connection with your partner. But over the past few years, we've realized that just doing the workouts is really fun, it's engaging, and it's interesting, but it's not really what we were trying to get at with our programming. What we intended to do is to create something that would help you to transform your life and your marriage. And it's taken us a few years to figure out what exactly that means. And we didn't do it alone. We did it by talking to you. Over the past few years, we've talked to over 20,000 couples, Black couples in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, even 70s, who've gone through it all, who've seen the ups and downs of life, who've gone through all the struggles, who've actually achieved happiness. And what we learned was really shocking. We learned that there are 4 key elements that all relationships must have strong. They must have on lock in order to make that relationship thrive. And we took those 4 elements and we designed a program around those elements to help support Black couples in a way we've just never seen done before. And what we came up with was called Love and Legacy. And it's the first and only program in the world created from speaking privately with thousands of couples just like us about the biggest challenges in our life and relationship. And it's actually a proven system designed to help Black couples upgrade our life and our marriage. Now, this is not open to the public yet. If you're listening to this, like I said, you're most likely already a member of our community. And that's why we'd like to tell you about it first. You can apply and you can learn more at strengthofseduction.com/legacy. This is a private page. And I look forward to hearing from you because the reality is there isn't a lot of talk about what makes our marriages work, what makes our marriages thrive. What I've seen when I'm doing my research is that there's still a big stereotype that our marriages don't last, they don't work, that they're non-existent. And that's certainly not the case. In the Love and Legacy community, we have members who've been married for 20, 30, 40 years, and they're still going strong. And yet they're still interested in learning more and digging deeper and showing up better as partners and individuals. So if that's you, go ahead and check us out, strengthofseduction.com/legacy to learn more about this new program that we're launching. And enjoy today's episode. This is the Strength of Seduction podcast, the #1 resource for Black couples who want to build intimacy, love, and connection in their relationship. I'm your host, Daniel DiPiazza. My friends, welcome back to the Strength of Seduction podcast, the #1 podcast, #1 resource for Black couples who want to build love, intimacy, and connection in their marriage. I'm your host, Daniel DiPiazza. If you're new here and you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell for updates. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast platform like Apple or Spotify, make sure to subscribe and leave a review. We have an incredible episode for you today, and it's titled as 10 Things a Man Needs to Hear from His Partner. But honestly, this really goes both ways. It isn't just about what a woman can say to a man or what a man's partner can say to them. It's really, they go absolutely both ways in terms of things that a woman could hear from her man or hear from her partner and just feel over the moon about it. And now a couple things with this. I always use I use the standard heteronormative phrases of man and woman, husband and wife, because that's just the majority of our audience. I realize that, I'm aware of that. But really this goes for essentially anyone who's in a romantic relationship. And when we talk about these types of things, what we're really talking about is we're talking about what it takes to be a loving partner in your relationship. So that's where I'm coming from. Now, before we jump into that, I want to draw your attention to something very special we have going on behind the scenes of Strength of Seduction. It's a special opportunity for you. We are looking for Black married couples who are ready to grow. And when I say grow mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, together through a program called Love and Legacy. See, Love and Legacy is a breakthrough coaching program specifically designed for Black couples who want to build stronger communication, who want to build better health, deeper intimacy, and to create more money in their family, to create financial freedom. And if that's you, I highly encourage you to go to strengthofseduction.com/apply to learn more about this transformative program. We've already worked with over 50 families, and it's only been a few months since we've really got this thing off the ground, and it's proving to have incredible results for all all the families that take part in this brand new program that we're launching. It's behind the scenes. It's only available to people who are listening to this podcast, to people in our existing audience. We don't sell it online. It's something you have to apply for. It's not being advertised anywhere except right here. And I know that you're part of the community if you're listening to this. So let's dive into today's episode. I'll talk to you on the other side. 10 things a man needs to hear from his partner. Now, men often act, I think, stoic and emotionless in order to maintain a facade of strength, but we also need loving affirmations and support. And I'll just say that I think this is something that I've been so grateful to have from my wife, who, and we've learned how to communicate this stuff over the years. I think oftentimes there's this narrative of like women need to be built up all the time and need to be given praise. And of course, there's even, if you look at like the 5 love languages, what are they? It's word of affirmations is one, which is what this is. There's also acts of service, which is like doing nice things for people. There's gifts, which is buying things for people. There's quality time, which is spending time with people. And then there's physical touch, which is physical intimacy. And all of these love languages have unique value for sure. I often think that women underrate men's need for words of affirmation. And that's just, I think, maybe something that we can address on the show, because oftentimes we're not trained to be vulnerable. We're not trained to express ourselves. We're not always great communicators. I'm speaking for myself, and I've even talked about this on the show. I talked about the emotional dummy and how I didn't really learn to fully express or communicate myself or really express my emotions until I was like at least 30, and I'm still learning. And I think that because it's hard for men to communicate, we're certainly not going to communicate the things that we need to hear. Or we also feel like, why would I have to tell you what I need to hear? You should just be saying them to me. But oftentimes men will feel alone in their journey or their struggles. They'll feel like they have it all on their shoulders. If you want to talk traditional gender roles, if the man is the one providing, they'll often feel like their work goes unnoticed. And on the woman's side, when we're just talking love languages, they might say, I'm taking care of the kids and I'm doing these acts of service for you, or we're having sex, and so you're feeling good about that. But just like your partner, if it's a heterosexual relationship, I'm generalizing here. So it could be heterosexual, it could be homosexual, it could be trans, whatever. I'm just like generalizing traditional, what do they call it, cisgender heterosexual relationships, and you can insert yourself in here however you feel about it. But oftentimes, in addition to the actual other love languages, we still need to hear it. We still need to hear that we're doing a good job. And there are specific ways you can say it. So here are 10 ways that you can express that to your partner. And of course, it could be to a man or to a woman, but I'm just coming from my perspective. So 10 things a man needs to hear from his partner. The first is, I love you. It's pretty simple enough. I love you. And not just saying it after you receive something or at once a week, but like really making it known. I love you. And I think that's important. What about, I'm proud of you? Oftentimes men will feel like I can just speak for myself, like we're holding up the whole world and we're out there like putting ourselves into the world. We're experiencing some threat of danger, and there's the supporter and the provider role. And it feels good to know that our partner is proud of what we're achieving in the world, because men are out there thrusting, achieving. David Data would say, man wants to go out and conquer the world, fuck the world, in the most metaphysical, carnal sense of it. And so men are out there as achievers. So we want to know that the person that we're closest with is proud of us. I've brought back the gazelle. I've brought back the animal for us. We want to hear that our partner's proud of us. Write these down, ladies, as you're listening to this, or fellas listening to this. Write these down and make sure to say one of these every day. The third one is, I see your progress. This is something that oftentimes too, as men progress in their career and as they start to have more success, the partner might feel like everyone can see you're successful. I know you're successful, so I don't need to comment on the fact that you've continued to grow. But a lot of the growth that we have isn't just external, it's internal. And if we can get acknowledgement from our partner that they see us and they see our progression and our growth, it feels so good. Because oftentimes the stuff that the public might not see, the one closest to us should or will or should see, because they're the ones that truly see what we go through on a daily basis. I know for this year, for me, it's been a crazy year of personal development and understanding of myself. And I've learned a lot about myself in this year, more in this year than I think I've learned in any year since my teens, honestly. Like maybe 34 is some sort of like spiritual something, Lion's Gate, Moon and Venus, whatever. I don't know what the translation of this is. I'm 34, I'll be 35 next year.
it has felt really good for my wife to acknowledge me. Like, I see you're growing. Like, I see the progress because I'm really putting myself out there. I'm like writing new books. I'm going outside of my comfort zone. I'm trying to build something new. And it feels good to be acknowledged. Another one is you're handsome. Men are often expected to compliment women on their looks, but oftentimes women don't compliment men. Yeah, we'll get some compliments, but we're not. It feels good to know that we're physically desired. I think everyone can relate to that. And then it goes hand in hand with number 5. Sex with you is amazing. It feels good to feel that physical acknowledgement. And I think oftentimes too, like I was watching a TikTok or an Instagram story of someone, and I think 2 women having a conversation, and one woman was giving advice to the other woman, and I thought it was resonant advice. Of course, I'm a guy, so I'll agree with this, but I thought it was really good advice. And she's like, yeah, like a lot of times I think also if you've been in a relationship for a long time, at least from my experience, what I found is that like you have to make more of an effort to have sex and also to have it be fulfilling and have it to be nurturing and exciting. And everyone goes through phases too. Sometimes you'll have more, sometimes you'll have less. And just depending on what's going on in your life, you have to come to it on the same page. But there's also an element of acknowledging that it's a mutually exciting and fun experience and making it part of something that you're like giving to each other, not just being like, all right, he wants to have sex or I guess we'll do it because you want to do it, we'll do it. No one wants to feel like you're just doing it because I'm asking for it. You want to feel like, yes, I want this. Like, I want to be with you in this way. I want to enjoy this intimacy with you. I'm having a good time. It's great to feel loved by you in this way. Like, you want to feel that. No one wants to feel like it's a chore. No one wants to feel like it's something that they're just checking off their to-do list sometime between laundry and the groceries. Like, sometimes it is like that, but generally you want to feel like it's something that there's a powerful connection and you want to feel acknowledged in that way. And so I think that especially in any long-term relationship, whenever you have like a short relationship or a new relationship, there's going to be that initial chemistry that it's just part of that initial phase. But once you've been together for a decade or more, and man, in one of my companies, Strength of Seduction, most of the couples who buy our programs have been together like 20 plus years, like they're deep in. And you go through different phases of the relationship in all levels, from intellectual and financial and communication and physical. And so all of that should be acknowledged. And if it's not amazing, then it's both. And I read a different, it's on both people is what I meant. I read an interesting quote, or I think one of my clients actually sent it to me because she was talking about her divorce. And she said, her divorce attorney said something that really stuck with her. He said, divorce is 50-50, but marriage is 100-100. And that resonates with me. So it's you both are pouring into the cup to create something beautiful. So acknowledge that. Number 6, I support you. So if the guy is out there and doing something where he's like metaphorically risking his life, I support you. And there's a really good movie. I think it's a Tyler Perry movie. I forget what it's called, like Revenge or something like this. But the whole concept of the movie is like this man is working on this invention for like, I don't know, a decade or more. And the wife is always criticizing him of like, your stupid invention, you and your stupid invention's never going to work. And just give it up already and get a regular job. And he's like, no, I really believe in it. It's like an alternative battery power source. And like, just stick with me on it. I really believe it can change the world. And then she's like, nah, fuck it. I'm leaving you. And she like finds this like really hot guy at her workplace and they get together and she thinks she's so happy. But then the guy ends up working on his invention and it blows up and he becomes like a multimillionaire and he finally gets everything he wants. And then she wants to come back to him and say, oh, please, I'm so sorry. Like, we should get back together. I always believed in you. He's like, you never believed in me. You never supported in me. And then so she ends up like basically killing his new wife and trying to kill him. It was a horrible, crazy story, like fascinating nail biter, soap opera shit. But yeah, just having someone who supports in you and supports you. And similarly, number 7, I believe in you. So not only am I going to support you, but I truly believe in what you're doing. Now, obviously, if you guys, there's always room for conversation around what's happening in the household. You don't have to support someone blindly, but it feels good to know that your number one ride or die person is there with you and that they believe you and they support you. Number 8 would be, I only want you. I only want you. This is something where I think even through the years, people will be like, oh, are they still 100% with me? Is their eye wandering? Is their heart wandering? Is their mind wandering? Where are they at? And it's something where you want to feel secure. A lot of times, again, it's like the concept of like woman needs to feel secure in the relationship, but also men need to feel secure too. And we might not even know that we want to hear some of these things, but when we hear them, we're like, yeah, that feels good. That feels really good. And sometimes your man's not going to ask you to say these things to him. So if you're a woman listening to this show, then take notes. If you have a partner, or you don't have to be a woman, but if you're in a partnership with a man, then these are good things to tell them. But yeah, we want to feel secure in the relationship. We're not going to say that, but we're going to really appreciate it. Number 9 would be, I appreciate you. Sometimes I feel that as the provider of the household, men will feel unappreciated or underappreciated because a lot of the things that we do, we're not making a big deal out of it. Okay, yeah, I stocked the fridge with groceries again. Yeah, rent is paid again with no interruption. Yeah, all the bills happen. It depends on what your role is in the relationship and what your agreements are. And we're only talking financial right now, but like just acknowledging that everything that you're doing, both said and unsaid, is appreciated. And I see you and I appreciate it. And the last, number 10, is thank you. It's just thank you for that. And my wife says all these things to me and it feels great when she does. And so I know that's why I can validate that this is a great list for you to hear from your partner. And of course, it can go, like I said, both ways. Men should say this up to women, women should say this up to men. But I think it's extra important because oftentimes the masculine man doesn't get a lot of love when it comes to words of affirmation from women, or when they do, they really notice how much of an impact it makes on them wanting to be vulnerable with their partner, wanting to be open, wanting to also return the favor. David Deida has some great concepts around men and women and how they deal in relationships. And one of the things he says is that you praise the thing you want to improve. So if it's like, coming from the male perspective, if you are a man and you want to see your woman lose a little bit of weight or get healthier and get in the gym, praise the things that you want to see helped. So it's like, I really love seeing you in those workout clothes. It's so sexy. Like, I love seeing you sweat. It's just things like that, however you want to say it, but praise the things you want to improve and watch the focus go to those things. It's like what you give attention gets attention. And so you got to pour into those things. And it's the same thing with women and their partnership towards men. So again, in the age that we're in, people will get offended if you don't say this applies to everyone and this applies to different combinations or different types of orientations. It all does. But I, of course, come from my perspective as a cisgender, I don't know all the different terms, a cisgender heterosexual male. But I think that these are things you can say to anybody who's in a romantic partnership on either side with any orientation, and it'll feel good. That's it, my friends. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast and you can apply some of these lessons.
And when you do, I want you to write me an email, send me a text, send me a DM, send me a smoke signal, and tell me how it went. That's it for today's episode of the Strength of Seduction podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to like and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to us on, and leave a review. Of course, every review counts. Check us out on Apple or Spotify. Now, my friends, I want you to love fiercely, I want you to communicate openly, and I want you to always find your way back to each other. Until next time, this has been Daniel. I'm out of here.